Hello everyone. Very good afternoon. Welcome to Sakshi Education. My name is Archana. I am your educator for Indian Polity. This is going to be the second class in this series, and today we are going to discuss about the syllabus of Indian Polity, which you have to remember at any point of time. Okay, so let's start the lesson. And before getting into the lesson, let me introduce myself. This is my profile. I do have 12 years of work experience, and I am a current affairs writer for even Sakshi Web also. So let's start the lesson. So Indian polity, we are going to learn about the syllabus. Before learning about the syllabus, I would like to discuss few points. Okay. So for any country, the main goal is governance. Now, who will be doing the governance is the government will be doing. For whom it will be doing is for the people living in it. When I use the word people, it means it can be both citizens and as well as non-citizens also, right? And the government or the country, okay, the government or the country need to do this governance, and for this governance, they need rules and regulations, or they need to know do's and don'ts. What are the do's and don'ts? So regarding this, for the governance of this country, India, to make sure the connection between the people and the country is smooth, okay, and is in harmony, we need a rules book which is nothing but called as Indian Constitution. Now, Indian Constitution is considered as the main source for many laws, rules, acts in the country. Okay, so whatever different types of laws, everything we are seeing is existed, is derived from Indian Constitution only. So that is the reason Indian Constitution is considered as the main source of governance in the country. Now, what is all you have this governance? How you will learn? Now, Constitution, you have to understand, didn't evolve in one day. It didn't evolve in one day. So you have to learn the evolution of Constitution in two phases. One is pre-independence and the other one is post-independence. Pre-independence and post-independence. Pre-independence means we have to understand what is the state of Constitution before 1947 and right from 1947. Okay, now the post-independence, we will learn the Constitution in two phases. One is 1947 to 1950 and the post-1950. After 1950, what is the state of Constitution in India? Now, pre-independence or before 1947, we have to learn the Constitution from 1773 to 1856. And the second phase is 1857 to 1935. And the third phase is you have to learn from 1935 to 1947. See, there are certain, see, why we have divided into phases is you had the landmark changes happened between these times, and so that made the government, the British government, to change the rules and regulations. So they have changed, there is a change or there is an approach in the administration, British administration. So that is the reason you have to learn about the Constitution in these three ways. Right. Now, as part of our syllabus, for UPSC, this section 1773 to 1856, 1857 to 1835 and 1935 to 1947 is nothing but called as historical underpinnings of Indian Constitution. Historical underpinnings of Indian Constitution is the first chapter of our preparation, of our syllabus. It's the first chapter. However, you will understand this only when you are familiarized with modern India. Okay, because it is having connection with the freedom movement. So whatever the movements or whatever the aggression, whatever the whatever the steps we have taken against the British government, automatically changed the British mindset towards administration. This is what you have to understand. The second lesson of our syllabus is 1947 to 1950, how we have prepared the constitution. So nothing but it is the second chapter, making of Indian constitution. Making of Indian constitution. So the first chapter is historical underpinnings of Indian constitution, and the second chapter is making of Indian constitution. The third chapter starts from right post 1950. But whatever the amendments are happening, whatever the changes we are doing right now, whatever the commissions or reports are being submitted, everything after 1950, whatever the changes have come in the constitution, we will learn under this segment post 1950. Now, what are those post 1950? We will see now. So, from 1950, the third chapter would be, see, it is not you when you see a book, see, imagine any book, it can be Indian Constitution or any book, you will first see how many pages are there, who is the author, okay, you will see what is the gist of the story, gist of this book, and the बहुत सारे features we will see, right? Now, likewise for Indian Constitution also we do have, which is nothing but salient features of Indian Constitution. Salient features of Indian Constitution. Now, when you see a book, you'll see the first page, obviously, right? This first page is nothing but called as preface. So, for the Indian Constitution also, we do have preface, nothing but preamble. So the fourth chapter we have as part of the preparation is preamble. Now, the next chapter is, to understand this, here let me tell you some points. We all knew that governance is nothing but a binding force between people and the country. Now, to understand governance, you should first know what is a country, you should know what are people, and who is, to do this governance only, whom we need is government. So, we have to understand government, right? So, again I repeat, the connection which is the connection which is holding between the country and the people is nothing but governance. Now, this governance is done by a government. We have to know what is government. First, you should understand what is the country, okay, and who are the people. We have to learn. Then you have to know about the government. So, three things we have to understand. So, the fifth chapter is we have to know about the country, that is India or territory of India. Territory of India, which is from Article 124, Part 1. 124, Part 1. So, we first need to understand what do you mean by territory of India. Then you have to understand what do you mean by people. Then you have to understand what do you mean by government. And then you will understand how governance is being implemented or how governance is happening. So the fifth chapter is we have to know about India, territory of India, Article 124, Part 1. The sixth chapter, obviously we need to know about the people. Okay, so people, when I say people, I told you will have two types. One is citizens and the other one as non-citizens. All this you will learn under Article 5 to 11, Part 2. Under the chapter called as citizenship. Under the chapter called as citizenship, which is the sixth lesson. Right? So now we know about country, we know about people. Now we need to know about the government. Now before knowing about the government, we have to know what is the specialty being given to the people of this country. People, I'm not talking about citizens. What is the specialty being given to the people of the country, which we will learn in the next chapter. Here. I hope you are making a note. So the 7th chapter is regarding people. What was given by the country? Country ने क्या दिया है? Sorry, what country has given to the people is you have fundamental rights. What are being given by the country to the people is fundamental rights. Article, 12 to 35, part 3. Very, 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 very important. Dharma. Okay. So many people, they say, what country has given to me? Please understand, government, the country, the Indian country, Hamara Desh, our country has given you the fundamental rights. Okay, which you will learn under part 3, article 12 to 35. Next. Now, how a government should function? How government should function or look after the people. How the government should function or look after the people. This you will learn under Directive Principles of State Policy. Directive Principles of State Policy. That article 36 to 51, part 4. 36 to 51, part 4. Next. Now, you also need to know that country has given rights to the people. At the same time, you have to think whether country has assigned any duties. We have to know, and yes, we are being given some certain duties which are nothing but called as fundamental duties. Article 51, capital A, under part 4, capital A, is nothing but the 9th chapter. Okay, so the 9th chapter is what are the duties being assigned to people, like how we have rights. Duties are also being assigned to the people under the chapter fundamental duties, article 51, clause A to part 4, clause A. The next one, I hope you understood. Again I repeat, what country has given to the people is mentioned under fundamental rights, article 12 to 35, part 3. How government should function or look after the people is the directive principles of state policy, where the constitution gives direction to the government how it needs to work. That is mentioned under article 36 to 1, part 4. And what are the duties assigned to the people is mentioned under fundamental duties, article 51, clause A, article 51, capital A, part 4, capital A. Right? Next one. Now, for the 10th chapter, here you have to know some background. So till now we try to understand what do you mean by country. We understood what do you mean by people. Okay, and what was given to the people by the country, and how people need to be with the country, and how the country need to function with the people. We all have seen. Now we have to know what do you mean by government. Okay, so in this chapter, we'll try to understand what do you mean by government, the various types of government, and also you'll try to understand various forms of government. Okay, and also you have to understand the various levels of government. When I say levels of government, in India, we have 3 levels. The top one being the unitary level or the central government or the union government. We have a union government. Under that, we do have state government. and also under that we do have the local government. So the government of India, the levels of the government is, we do have a three-tier structure. We do have a three-tier structure. Okay. And forms of government, we have to know whether it is a democracy or anarchy or monarchy. You have to understand. And our government is democratic government. This is the form of government we are following. And within democracy, we do have two types of democracy. One is parliamentary form of democracy, and the other one is presidential form of democracy. Okay. One is parliamentary form and the other one is presidential form. Right? Now, what do you mean by government? We have to know the definition of government. Government is nothing but a combination of executive plus legislature plus judicial. The sense is government is nothing but these three organs combined together to function. You call it as a government. So our government means a role of executive, legislature, and judiciary, and you have to understand that there is an overlap of these organs within with each other. Means you have to understand that we though talk about separation of powers, means though we say that executive and judiciary need to be separate, we talk about separation of powers, we don't have absolute separation of powers. We don't have absolute separation of powers. Okay, so please understand that the government, we have executive, legislature, and judiciary, and the government. And though we can see the three organs are overlapping each other, though we say that the three organs need to be independent, yes, the three are independent, but you have overlapping. Means we don't have absolute separation of powers in government of India. We definitely do have, overlapping of functions, or we can say them as rather than overlapping, we call this overlap as checks and balances. We call this as checks and balances. Again, I repeat, though we say executive, legislature, and judiciary are independent, we don't see that independency. You see overlap of these organs. This is not overlapping. It is nothing but called as checks and balances, because separation of powers is not absolute in government of India. You don't find absolute separation of powers, right? So now the 10th chapter would be about all this, like what do you mean by definition of government, types of government, forms of government, levels of government, and what do you mean by parliamentary form, what do you mean by presidential form, and what is the difference between parliamentary form and presidential form. All you will learn under the 10th chapter. Okay, I hope you understood. Now, so here let me write a chart for you. Government, you have union, you have state, and local. And what do you mean by government? Executive, legislature, and judiciary. Right? What do you mean by union executive? So this is executive, legislature, and this is state government, and this is central government or union. Union executive means you will have president, vice president, prime minister, council of ministers, MPs of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are called as executives, union executives. Okay, union executives. And what do you mean by union legislature? You will learn about parliament under this. Means you will learn about Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, how bills are processed, what are the powers, etc. You will learn under the parliament. Union judiciary means you will learn about Supreme Court. What do you mean by Supreme Court? What is the composition? What are the powers of Supreme Court? What are the jurisdictions of Supreme Court? Everything you will learn under the Union judiciary, that is Supreme Court. Now, the state executive. You will not have a president, you will have governor. You don't have a vice governor. Instead of prime minister, you will have chief minister, council of ministers. You will learn about MLAs and also you will learn about MLC. And legislature, under legislature, you will learn about state legislature, which is nothing but legislative assembly and legislative council. Like how many members are there, what are the powers, what are the bills, what is the connection between parliament and the state legislature, or how state legislature is integrated with parliament. You will learn under this. Okay. And also here you will learn about how the union executive will check or supervise the state executive, or how state executive, especially governor, is answerable to president. We will learn under that chapter. Okay. And judiciary. What you have under judiciary is High Court. You will learn about the High Court, how many High Courts are there, what are their powers, what is the relationship between High Court and Supreme Court, like how Supreme Court monitors High Court and how High Court is answerable to Supreme Court. We will learn under this chapter. And the local self-government. Here you will have the local self-government. You have two conditions over here. One is urban and the other one is rural. Urban, we call it as municipalities, and the rural we call as panchayats, where we will learn about the mayor, ward members, like what are the district committees doing. Everything you will learn as part of this. Panchayats, what do you mean by sarpanch, panchayat secretary, what do you mean by gram sabha, what are their powers, everything you will learn under this. And the judiciary, you will learn about the district courts on a whole, or we call it as subordinate courts. We'll learn about subordinate courts and their relationship with High Court and their relationship with Supreme Court. We will learn under this. Along with that, we also need to focus on major one, that is Grama Nyayalayas. Which we will learn as part of the judiciary. Now see, I segregated it. Now it's very, very easy to remember. We will learn this whole under 10th chapter. That is Union Executive, we will learn under 10th chapter. We will learn Union Legislature under 11th chapter. Union Judiciary under 12th chapter. State Executive under 13th chapter. State Legislature under 14th chapter. State Judiciary 15th chapter, and local bodies on a whole we will learn under 16th chapter. This complete we will learn, but some union territories are exclusively like union territories. Those legislatures which have those states union territories which do have the legislature or state characteristics that you have, Delhi and Puducherry. Though they were named as UT, they do have legislature. So these two guys are special guys. Okay, and we do have other UTs which don't have any legislature. So you have to know what is the difference between these two and how they are affecting the governance and how they are important in this democratic process. We have to know as a separate chapter. And also you have to learn about tribal areas, which is very, 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 very important, because the most the leftover the leftover society of Indian constitution or the leftover society need to be, which need to be civilized and get into the mainstream is this is one thing important, and the advance the syllabus in the mains. So you cannot segregate it like it is only for prelims, mains ke liye nahi chahiye. No, you will not understand the mains questions unless and until you are perfect in these basic parts. So all these chapters are being considered as a basic syllabus for the UPSC or Group 1 or for any other preparation. Now let's see the other syllabus, the other mains syllabus, etc. Mains syllabus. First, if you know Indian Constitution, you can compare Indian Constitution with United States, African Constitution. You can compare it with Russian Constitution. You can compare it with French Constitution and also China Constitution and as well as UK Constitution. In mains, we do have comparison of the Indian Constitution with other constitutions. Is a main syllabus. So if you know this thoroughly, to understand each and every point, you will be able to follow all this. Okay, so this is one thing. Second thing is the major important one is Representation of People's Act 1950 and 50. What are these two? See, in the Constitution, we have discussion about MPs and MLAs. Or I would say we do have discussion about the executive. Executive can be either union or state. Now these executives, we know the eligibility, we know their qualifications and we know their eligibility. Now the question is like, when are they not eligible? Okay, these eligibilities and not eligible conditions are discussed brief in this Presentation of People's Act 1951. So it is very, very, very important. Like if they are proved guilty in corruption, or if they are proved guilty with regard to Domestic Violence Act, like this, or criminal cases, what you are supposed to do. All these type of questions we have answers in Representation of People's Act. Okay, and also regarding anti-defection laws, it is clearly mentioned in the Representation of People's Act 1950 and 51. So we have to know about this thing. And next thing is see, one more point here. As I told you, country and people, they both need to have a smooth connection. To have this smooth connection, we need to have what? Governance. Okay, it will be done by government. Now the point is, always government cannot do everything. Everything cannot be done by government. There are certain cases, means sometimes it would be the responsibility of the people also. You cannot make everything to be done by the government. You expect even people's involvement also. See, governance is not one-sided. It's a two-sided. Country need to have accountability towards people, and people also should. Country need to be responsible towards people, and people also should have accountability. Now it means that government will do its role. At the same time, people are also expected to perform their role. How is by people's involvement? Usually, you find this people's involvement either individual or in groups. These groups, we'll call them as NGOs, or we call them as civil society. Now these two also, when people will start pressurizing the government, you have to do like this, you are doing injustice to the people of this country. You have to change yourself. Bolki, the people will start pressurizing. Now, this pressure will work out only when that pressure is more. So that pressure as an individual is not possible. You definitely need groups to put pressure on the government for better administration. Okay, for better administration. So these groups are nothing but NGOs and civil society. So as part of main syllabus, you have to see the role of civil society, the role of civil society, NGOs in governance. Okay, why are you trying to involve the role of civil society and NGOs in governance? Is not just for governance. We are aiming for what? Good governance. We are aiming for good governance, which is nothing but fourth chapter in the mains. Now you have to know what do you mean by this good governance, how it is achieved, what are the forms of achieving good governance. All this you have to learn. You have to know the initiatives that are taken for assuring good governance in India. This is very, very important. And you also should know what are the global initiatives taken to ensure good governance. This is what you will learn. Okay, so by doing, by knowing, so this is not just at a time one step will not happen. You need to develop it slowly. Please understand this is a blueprint for your preparation. How you have to develop the subject and you have to focus on your preparation. You understand Indian Constitution thoroughly, say thoroughly. The next other parts are very, 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 very easy because why is it the government doing like this? Why it is not taking this decision? You'll understand only when the Constitution is understood properly. So please emphasize on learning this constitution thoroughly, and the concepts need to be built in such a way you have to understand the implications of this, implications of the initiatives being taken, the consequences, and the good consequences, and the challenging consequences, and what need to be done. All this we have to learn. You will only understand when you understand the concepts thoroughly, which we will do as part of this course. So this is what is about the syllabus of Indian polity, or which involves both prelims and mains. Beyond this, you will not have anything. If there are any other points, anyways, we will discuss. If I miss anything, also I will make sure that I will, explain them in the class without fail. So you need not worry. I'm not going line to line what is mentioned in the syllabus. I gave you an overall blueprint for you to understand. So please follow this. We will go the classes. The classes will run only on this strategy only. And in the next class, I will start off with the salient features of the Indian Constitution. I will not start off with the historical underpinnings because you have to know about the modern India. You should have that modern India knowledge. And I'll try to explain the historical evolution in a best possible way also. Because if I start explaining the historical underpinnings of the Indian Constitution, I need to bring the whole modern Indian life to the lesson. So it becomes very messy. Constitution and the history gets messy. You have to understand this, but I'll try at my level best to let you know that lesson. Usually offline, what we do is we usually teach that chapter historical evolution or historical underpinnings once the modern India syllabus is being completed. Usually we don't do generally at the first chapter. Okay, but here what we will do is after few lessons you will be definitely getting some knowledge, and with that knowledge I expect you will be understanding the historical underpinnings of Indian Constitution, which I will be teaching. So no, we will not skip any lesson. We will discuss each and every lesson that way. And you have any queries or you have any doubts, you can ask me on my Insta. This is my Insta ID. You can follow me over here. You can ask me any doubts over here. Okay, and this is what is my Insta ID. You can check it out and you can ask me. Right? That's all for today. We'll see you again in the next session where I'll be discussing about the salient features of Indian Constitution. Thank you so much, and this class will be purely in English. Right? Thank you so much. Jai Hind.